The crisp fall evening in the city seemed like any other. The streets buzzed with life as students headed to late-night study sessions or to unwind from their week. Among them was Emily Grace, a 23-year-old psychology student, a familiar face around town. She had a sparkling personality, always the life of the party, with a social media following that kept her busy with likes, comments, and DMs. But tonight, the city was about to change in ways no one could have predicted. Emily had plans for the night, a casual party hosted by classmate, Greg Lawson. The invite had come earlier that week, but Emily had hesitated before committing. Her best friend, Rachel, was supposed to join her, but at the last minute, Rachel had to cancel due to a family emergency. Emily texted her just before heading out, "I'm on my way. I'll call you later. Promise I won't stay out too late." It was a brief text, nothing out of the ordinary. The next time Rachel heard from Emily was hours later, but it was just a voicemail. Her phone buzzed at 11:15 p.m. Emily's phone had gone straight to voicemail. Rachel called back again and again, but there was no answer. There were no social media updates, no check-ins. Emily had disappeared. Welcome back to Crimes Exposed, a true crime channel. Before we dive deeper into the haunting details of disappearance of Emily Grace, make sure to hit the subscribe button, like this video, and share it with anyone you think would be interested in this chilling true crime case. Your support helps keep us going and brings more gripping stories like this one to the forefront. If you're new to the channel, be sure to catch up with our previous videos to immerse yourself fully in these gripping tales. Now, let's continue with our story. By morning, panic had set in. Emily's roommate, Claire, was frantic, trying to reach her, while her family reported her missing to the local police. Detective Sarah Donovan, a seasoned investigator, was called to the scene. Sarah was known for her meticulous work, but even she could not shake the growing sense of unease in the air. The first step was to check Emily's apartment. The small but cozy space was sparse, with only a few personal items, books, plants, and a collection of old vinyl records. Everything seemed untouched. There were no signs of a struggle, but Emily was gone. No forced entry, no broken windows, and no indication of foul play. The search expanded quickly. Detective Donovan spoke to Emily's friends, her professors, and anyone who might have seen her the night before. The investigation seemed to hit a wall until a breakthrough came from the most unlikely source, Emily's social media. Emily's last check-in had been near a cafe just a few blocks from her apartment. There was no sign of her at the party. The next clue emerged from nearby surveillance footage. A grainy image showed Emily leaving the cafe, but what stood out was a shadowy figure trailing her. Who is this? Donovan wondered, staring at the blurry figure on the footage. Something wasn't right. Emily's case had barely entered its second day when Detective Donovan uncovered a haunting detail. Emily had been receiving strange, cryptic messages from an anonymous user for the past several months. These messages were not overtly threatening, but they were unsettling enough for Emily to confide in her best friend, Rachel. "Don't freak out," Emily had said one evening while they were texting. "But some guy keeps sending me these weird messages. I think it's just a fan or something. I'll block him." But blocking someone doesn't erase a feeling of being watched. The anonymous user had never directly threatened Emily. The messages were subtle, sometimes referencing things only Emily would know: her routine, her plans, her likes, even her upcoming exam schedule. The user would also occasionally comment on her Instagram posts, things like, "I know where you are," and "I'll be seeing you soon." At first, Emily dismissed them as harmless, but now Detective Donovan realized this could be the breakthrough the case needed. As Donovan dug deeper into Emily's past, she stumbled across a name, James Porter. James was a former classmate of Emily's. They had briefly dated during their sophomore year of college, but Emily had broken things off after James became too possessive and controlling. She had shared with Rachel that she felt suffocated by his constant attention, which eventually turned into emotional manipulation. James had never taken the breakup well. After their split, he began sending Emily gifts, flowers, and messages. Emily had politely rejected them, but James wasn't easily deterred. The messages grew more frequent, more personal, until Emily felt like she was being stalked. When Donovan tracked down James, she found a man who seemed completely detached from reality. He was calm, almost too calm, when confronted about the stalking. He denied all accusations, even claiming he had not seen Emily in months. His alibi for the night of Emily's disappearance was flimsy at best. He said he had been at home watching TV, but Donovan wasn't convinced. The more Donovan searched, the darker the picture became. James had a history of stalking, and his online presence painted a picture of obsession. He had created fake social media accounts to follow Emily's every move. And it didn't stop there. Detective Donovan discovered that James had been watching Emily for months, tracking her routine to the minute. Even more chilling, James had been in close proximity to Emily at the same time she had last been seen on the night of her disappearance. His presence near the cafe and his lingering gaze on her in the footage were now impossible to ignore. Donovan's team also uncovered unsettling photos taken of Emily at various locations. James had been following her in secret, capturing moments she never knew about. Each photo, each note, seemed like a breadcrumb in his twisted plan. Emily had been aware of James's stalking, but she hadn't fully realized the extent of his obsession until it was too late. Donovan's next breakthrough came when Emily's roommates handed over a hidden journal they had found in Emily's room. The journal chronicled Emily's descent into fear, with the last entry reading, "I think I'm being watched again. He's getting closer." Donovan's heart sank as she flipped through the pages. Emily had known something was wrong, and had even made plans to confront James. But she was always one step behind, never quite able to outsmart him. She had confided in Rachel that she was planning to meet James face-to-face to finally put an end to it all. It seemed that James had anticipated this. Donovan reviewed the journal again and realized Emily had been receiving strange, unsolicited phone calls and texts just before her disappearance, all from an unknown number. She had also been receiving gifts, some benign, others increasingly disturbing. Days turned into weeks, and the search for Emily intensified. Detective Donovan couldn't shake the feeling that they were missing something critical, some final piece of the puzzle. It was then that Donovan revisited James's apartment, convinced that he was hiding something. When the police broke into his apartment, they found a hidden room in the basement, one filled with disturbing materials. There were photographs of Emily, dozens of journals detailing their brief relationship, and a map of the city with pins marking every place Emily had visited. But the most unsettling find was a folder filled with videos of Emily taken without her knowledge. Some were recorded in public, others in private spaces, all under James's meticulous surveillance. The breakthrough came when Detective Donovan uncovered a hidden camera in Emily's apartment. It had been planted there by James, who had been spying on her for months. The footage was chilling. It showed James entering Emily's apartment, waiting for her to fall asleep, and then making his move. The police had no choice but to focus on the places James frequented. The team's tireless search led them to an abandoned warehouse on the outskirts of the city. Inside, they found Emily's body, carefully concealed under a pile of crates. The cause of death was strangulation. James had killed her in a fit of rage, unable to bear the thought of losing control over her life. James Porter was arrested and charged with the kidnapping and murder of Emily Grace. His confession came after hours of intense interrogation. He had finally admitted to the crime, stating that he couldn't live with the idea of Emily being free from his control. He had followed her every move and had made plans to confront her, but when she decided to confront him instead, he snapped. The case sent shockwaves through the community. Emily's parents were devastated, but they found some peace in knowing that James would never hurt anyone again. However, Emily's death was a wake-up call for the city, sparking a nationwide conversation about stalking, harassment, and online surveillance. In the aftermath of Emily's tragic death, advocacy groups began pushing for stronger laws surrounding stalking and online harassment. Emily's story raised awareness about the dangers of social media and the importance of setting boundaries. Her death, while tragic, became the catalyst for change. Emily's parents, despite their grief, decided to channel their sorrow into action. They worked with lawmakers and non-profit organizations to help pass new laws aimed at preventing stalking and protecting people from digital abuse. They made sure Emily's death would not be in vain. Emily's story became a symbol of both the dangers of modern technology and the power of resilience. Detective Donovan, though forever changed by the case, continued to fight for victims of similar crimes. She knew that in a world where privacy was constantly at risk, it was more important than ever to protect those who couldn't protect themselves. Though Emily Grace's life was tragically cut short, her legacy would endure, A reminder that no one should ever be stalked or controlled, and that the fight for justice, no matter how difficult, was always worth it.